Adam, is it a name or just a noun for human being? And the word Satan, is that a name invented by Christians? Let's take a look. Shalom, welcome to Rob on the Rock. I'm Rob Vanoff, and today I want to share with you a link that someone forwarded to me. It's from the Quora website, which is a forum where people send questions to smart people and get answers. And this particular question is, why isn't Adam a traditional Hebrew name? Why isn't Adam a traditional Hebrew name? And you could see that the response here is written by Adam Reisman. His name's Adam, and you're going to see Adam's very smart, and he has a great sense of humor. A BA in linguistics from USC, which is really impressive. This was updated June 22nd. That's the day I'm recording this video, so this is new, at least as of this day here. Why isn't Adam a traditional Hebrew name? And it says below also that Adam knows Hebrew, so he's qualified to answer. He says this is a two-part answer, and the second part is very interesting. So let's look through Adam's answer here. Originally, there was a Jewish tradition not to name children after non-Jews in the Bible. So that eliminated names like Eve, Seth, and Noah. But this custom has long since been abandoned. Okay, so the first answer here is really a straw man because we don't have historical documentation of any kind of law, Jewish tradition, right? This would just be an oral tradition of some sort, but we would have to have evidence. You can't just say something is oral tradition and then it went out of use. That's an attempt to explain something maybe, but it doesn't work in terms of rational presentation of a fact or a hypothesis. Because also we could take names such as David, Solomon, Ezekiel, names like that how come we don't find those names in the first century? Or even much today, even though today we still will find names like Adam and Solomon and Ezekiel among Jews, Jewish names today. But he's talking about in ancient times. So I would suggest that this first answer is not acceptable, and rather we would say there are names from the Tanakh that seem to be names that were more attractive, names that you'll find in inscriptions in synagogues, as well as like remains from Masada, where we have lists of names. Judah, that's a popular name. Yeshua, which is the name Jesus, of course. Yeshua, popular name. Jacob, very popular name. Yochanan, which is the name John. Shimon or Simeon, right? These are names that we find over and over and over again. But we don't find someone named David or Solomon, etc., right? Why? Not because they're non-Jewish, but because they represent heroes of the Bible. And certain heroes of the Bible, it seems that their names were off limits. I think that's a better explanation. The idea that they were non-Jews and therefore avoided, we'd have to come up with another explanation of why other names were avoided of Jews. And to even press that point even further, you can look through all sorts of ancient Israelite Jewish names throughout the Tanakh. Look in the genealogies of, for example, the names of the leaders of the tribes of Israel in the book of Numbers and other places we have genealogies. There's all manner of Jewish names that are not typical names at all. So number one, it sounds good, but you have to watch when someone says there was a Jewish tradition. There was a Jewish tradition. We need to pause at that moment. It doesn't mean it's untrue. We just need to pause and say, what's our evidence for that tradition? Because if we just start saying, well, it was oral, but we don't have any way to demonstrate it, then what are we talking about? We can't just trust that there was this oral tradition. What was the manner of custody, the chain of custody of this knowledge, right? We want to build on a rock, not on sand. So anyway, as one is a creative answer, Adam, we're going to let that one go. Okay, but it doesn't matter because Adam tells us the second part is very interesting. So now we're going to look. 2, Adam is even more complicated. That is the name Adam, because it can be argued that it wasn't even a proper name in the Bible. It was just a common word that means human being, or in older translations, man. The creation story of the Bible just refers to the man, which Adam's referring to Adam with the definite article, and never gives him a name. It was actually in the era of Christianity that it turned into a name by translators selectively, not translating it. So the selectively has a little asterisk, and he says, note that Christians have done this selective translation for other words as well. This is how Christians invented Satan as a name. The actual Hebrew references to Satan are just references to an unnamed adversary or accuser. So this is what we're going to look at here. But clever, and I'm sure Adam Reisner is very smart. He has this funny note. Also note, I'm not condemning Christians for doing this. It's good because it's not a claim against Christians, as we'll see. If they hadn't done it, my name would be Human Reisman. I thought that was really clever because his name is, in fact, Adam. But it looks like this has over 500,000 views, 550,000 views. That's pretty awesome reach here, Adam. And it says that he has typed up over 11,000 answers. So this is pretty amazing, and over 8 million views. So he's smart, and people listen to his opinion. But today we're going to break down the second one here. I already dealt with the first. He said he lays this at the feet in the era of Christianity. The name Adam. Well, this is false. This is false. We have I can do Mr. Dry Erase Board here. We have in the Septuagint, so that's our LXX, in Genesis 2, where it says, and the Lord commanded Adam. The Septuagint transliterates it as Adam. Now, before all the occurrences of Ha-Adam in Hebrew, which is hey like this, Ha-Adam, if you want your vowels, the Greek translates it as anthropos, where we get the name, anthropology or something like that. Sorry for my sloppy Greek. Anthropos. But in Genesis 2, when it says, and the Lord commanded, instead of saying anthropos, it says Adam. And Adam becomes a proper name from there on out. But this is 250 BC. This is 250 BC, roughly, when the Greek Torah came to be. That is, the Greek translation of the Torah came in onto the scene. It's the story, and it's reasonable, basic story that it was created, that is the Greek translation of the Hebrew Torah, for the purpose of the Alexandrian library. This great Alexandrian library was to have all the works of world wisdom on its shelves. And the Torah of the Jews was one of those documents. And ultimately, it led to the project of translating all the Hebrew Tanakh, and then even other scriptures that are not considered part of the canonical Tanakh. But in any event, this is 250 BC is way before Christianity. But the Septuagint is not the only one. So if we look at the Septuagint, we could see, I'll just write up here. So we have Adam as a transliterated term. So one of the things that Adam talks about here, he is kind of conflating the idea of translation with transliteration. And what I mean by that is he says selectively not translating it. What he means by that is transliteration. So if I, just to recap what that means, if I have the Hebrew word ha-adam, right? And my mem looks like a somic there. That's because I'm being sloppy. Ha-adam, like I had earlier. Now I can say ha-anthropos in Greek. That is a translation. But if I translate it as ha-adam, like that, now that's a translation. transliteration. That's the difference. So I got too far over the edge there. Ha'anthropos is a translation of ha'adam. Ha'adam is a transliteration. I'm not adding new information. I'm trying to preserve what's there. But that's it. It's a name then. It becomes a name. And we know that also not only by Genesis 2, where the Greek Torah from 250 BC shifts from anthropos to Adam, transliterated term. We also have it from well, my screen is not wanting me to write here. Let's see here. There we go. 1 Chronicles 1, right? Where we have Adam, Seth, Enosh, right? Adam, right? It starts with Adam. I'm kind of writing Greek English here. Adam, Seth, Enosh, right? The whole book of 1 Chronicles opens up with a genealogy of names, a list of names. Adam. There you go. So that's still within the Tanakh. Adam, the name, and this is true for the Hebrew. In other words, 1 Chronicles, the very first word of 1 Chronicles is Adam. If anybody ever asks you, that's a good Bible trivia. The first word of Chronicles is Adam. And it's a proper name. And this is in Hebrew. We can parallel this. We could look, for example, at the end of Luke 3 in the Gospels. So you could say, yeah, sure, in the Christian world, we do have it, Adam, as a name. At the end of Luke 3, it says that it traces Yeshua all the way back to Adam, and it says, son of, right? Son of Seth, son of Adam, son of God. That's, I think, the very end of Luke chapter 3. So there's nothing shifting here between the apostolic writings of Luke chapter 3 and 1 Chronicles 1. Adam is a proper name in the Hebrew Bible, in the Greek translation, which is 250 BC, has nothing to do with Christianity, and then that tradition is just continued happily in the apostolic writings. We can also look, if we want to stick to extra that is outside the Christian tradition, we can look at Philo, right, of Alexandria, who lived, right at the end of the 1st century BC into the 1st century AD. He uses Adam in his Greek writings as a proper name. And of course, Josephus, who lived through the destruction of the temple in 70 and later in the 90s wrote much of his work. He uses he even inflects the name Adamas. So he puts the Greek case endings on many names that did not have those case endings in the Septuagint. Adamas. So Philo and Josephus would be examples. There are others as well of non-Christian Jewish references to Adam as a proper name. Now, again, this doesn't address why weren't people naming their kids Adam or Eve or David or Solomon. That's a different question. But back to the main point here. This very smart man, Adam Reisman, and his question 1, we've addressed. Number 2, we've answered it. And then there's this asterisk, which we have to address. Note that Christians have done this selective translation. What he means is transliteration. It means we're not going to translate everything. We're going to leave things untranslated, which means we're going to teach Hebrew, right? When these ancient Jewish writers are transliterating into Greek, they are teaching their audience a different language, and it's wonderful. It's something that we should embrace. The gospel, it happens a lot in the Gospels. Philo does it. Josephus does it. So this is not just a Christian thing. This is how Christians invented Satan as a name. Okay, this is another interesting claim here. We can look at the same situation happens where we have, for example, the book of Job, right? Where we have ha-satan, and other places where it says Satan raised up, right? So we have places in Tanakh where, in fact, we have, oops, my Adobe wants to do that. Where in Hebrew, we have Satan like this, and it is often translated in the Septuagint. So the Septuagint here translates it as ha-diabolos. Diabolos, that's the devil, right? So it's true that Satan can mean accuser, adversary, but there comes a time in the Second Temple era, and this is not a Christian invention. So our responder here on Quora says this is a Christian invention, and that's just not the case. We even have targums in Aramaic where we have the Hebrew transliterated into Aramaic as satana. Satana, sometimes with a hey, sometimes with an aleph at the end. We can put an aleph here. Satana. And that's the determined. That's the Satan in Aramaic. And that is where we get in the apostolic writings, Satana. It's a Greek transliteration from Aramaic. So, how I would answer that question is that the Hebrew hasatan, now it's true, Satan by itself can mean adversary, accuser throughout the Tanakh, but there are times where we have hasatan, the book of Zechariah, the book of Job, and elsewhere, where it is clearly the accuser, the Satan. And the Aramaic speaking Jews, since they wouldn't say hasatan, they would say satana. And they'd use what we call the determined form. That's what you see here, satana. And it's that form that comes through transliteration into the Greek. So throughout the apostolic writings, when you see Satan, most often it is got the definite article hasatana. And this definite article is that of Greek. It's not the Hebrew definite article, but we have satana, reflecting the Aramaic source of this transliteration, not Hebrew. So the word Satan in the apostolic writings came from an Aramaic source and tradition, not from Hebrew, but it's the same. So Hebrew has hasatan. That hasatan comes into Aramaic as satana, and then through that Aramaic form, satana, we get the Greek hasatana. And now, it is true that we do have in the apostolic writings all sorts of evidence. Yeshua says, how can hasatana cast out hasatana? Satan can't cast out himself. He was only divided against himself. Or Paul writes how we are aware of the deceitful schemes of hasatana. And it's the Satan. Now, you could say, well, how come the Christians didn't just say the Satan with a capital S over and over again? They came to call it Satana, but they were not the only ones. So today, we have a capital S, Satan. And it's important to remember, as we learn languages, we can go back and see, oh, this was Hasatan, this was Satana in Aramaic, Hasatana in Greek, in apostolic writing Greek. But there's no invention going on in terms of creating this name, because we know from even the Revelation of John, it says this is Hasatana, he's ha-diabolos, he is the devil, he is Satan, he is that ophis, that nachash, that serpent of old. So it's not a Christian invention. What we have are many different Jews and different Jewish groups using these terms, hasatan, satana, and in Greek, satana, through the Aramaic. In the apostolic writings, we're given focus for this being called Satana. But in terms of inventing the name, No, no. Christians invented the name, and he's not going to condemn them for doing this. So just, there's a little more to it. When you're on the internet, there are all sorts of great resources for you to look at that are written by many different knowledgeable people. And but when it comes to things concerning the Bible, there are a lot of popular traditions that are floating around, and people have latched into these, and they've learned them maybe in college. They took an introduction to Bible course or something. But as with any news headline, you want to pause and ask questions. Don't just accept everything you read on the internet, even if it has 500,000 views. Shalom.